In a village called Embu, nestled between the misty hills and the great river, there lived a king named King Adebayo. Now Adebayo was a man known far and wide, not just for his wealth, but for his arrogance. He had a massive palace made of stone, a harem full of beautiful women, and the best warriors in the land at his beck and call. His pride was as big as his kingdom, and he was always looking for ways to prove that no one was above him. It was during the annual Odundu festival, when the entire village would gather to celebrate the harvest and honor the spirits of the ancestors, that Adebayo made a wager that would change his life forever. The festival was a time of feasting, dancing, and storytelling, and many of the village elders would tell tales of their forefathers' courage and wisdom. But this year, things were different. As the festival reached its peak, Adebayo, sitting high on a golden throne, called his closest advisors and friends to his side. He had a mischievous smile on his face, the kind that meant trouble was coming. One of his oldest friends, Olumide, a well-respected merchant from the neighboring village, leaned in to hear what the king had to say. "Olumide," Adebayo began, his voice booming across the gathering, "I bet you that I can make any woman in this village fall in love with me. And I will make her my queen. But not just any woman, one who is not like the women I already have, one who does not fit the image of royalty or beauty that we all hold dear." The crowd fell silent, curious to hear more. It was no secret that Adebayo's wives were all beautiful, well-educated, and graceful women, hand-picked from the best families across the region. For him to claim that he could marry any woman, especially one who did not meet his standards, was a challenge indeed. Olumide, who was as old as Adebayo and had seen his friend's arrogance grow over the years, smiled and raised an eyebrow. "And what do you offer as a prize, my king?" Adebayo leaned forward, his eyes gleaming. "If I win this bet, I ask for one thing, a single prize. I want you to give me 100 cows, the finest in your herd. But if I fail, I will give you 1,000 gold coins, my own treasure." He laughed loudly, knowing full well that no one in the village could resist such a bet. Olumide hesitated, sensing that the king's pride was leading him down a dangerous path. But there was no turning back now. "Very well, Adebayo," he said. "But I want a woman who is worthy of this challenge, someone who is independent and strong-willed, not just a pretty face." The king's smile widened. "I have already chosen. I will marry Amina, the daughter of Elder Olamide." Now, Amina was not a woman anyone in the village expected to marry a king. She was the daughter of Elder Olamide, the village's spiritual leader, and though she was known for her wisdom and kindness, she was also fiercely independent. Amina had spent her life studying the ways of the ancestors, learning the old songs, and practicing the traditional healing arts passed down from her mother. When word got around that Adebayo had chosen Amina as the woman for his bet, the village buzzed with excitement. Some people were curious to see if the king could truly win her over. Others were skeptical. Amina was not the kind of woman who would fall for a man simply because of his riches or power. Adebayo, however, was determined. He had always been accustomed to getting what he wanted. He was confident that Amina, like all the other women, would be drawn to his wealth, his status, and his strength. The next morning, Adebayo made his way to Elder Olamide's compound with a group of his advisors and servants. The elder welcomed the king with respect, but his eyes were sharp, studying the king's every move. Adebayo wasted no time in getting to the point. "I have come to ask for your daughter's hand in marriage, Elder Olamide," he said, his voice full of authority. "I am the king of this land, and I am prepared to offer her a life of luxury and power beyond anything she could imagine." Elder Olamide, a man whose face was etched with the wisdom of many years, nodded slowly. "Adebayo, you are a man of great power, but power alone does not make a good match. My daughter Amina is a woman of deep thought and understanding. She will not be won over by wealth alone." Adebayo laughed, undeterred. "I am not asking for your permission, elder. I am making an offer. Amina will be mine, and I will prove that no woman can resist the power of a king." Elder Olamide did not respond immediately. Instead, he turned to his daughter, who had been standing quietly in the background, listening to the conversation. Amina's eyes met her father's, and they exchanged a silent understanding. "Father," Amina said calmly, stepping forward, "I will not be part of this wager. I am not a prize to be won. However, I will agree to meet with King Adebayo, and we will see if he is truly as powerful as he claims." Adebayo, though surprised by Amina's confidence, was pleased. "Very well," he said, bowing slightly. "I look forward to proving my worth." And so, the meeting was arranged. The king arrived at Amina's home a few days later, bringing with him gifts of gold and fine fabrics. He was confident that these tokens would win her over. But Amina received him in a humble hut, with nothing but the scent of wild herbs in the air and the simple yet warm glow of a fire. "King Adebayo," she said as he entered, "I hear you have come to win me over with wealth and gifts. But I do not care for these things. What I value most is wisdom, respect, and kindness. If you can show me that you understand these qualities, then perhaps we can talk further." Adebayo was taken aback. He had never been asked to prove his worth in such a way. He had expected to impress her with his wealth, but now he realized that Amina was not like the other women he had known. The days that followed were filled with challenges. Adebayo, used to controlling every situation, found himself struggling to win Amina's heart. She invited him to join her in the fields where she worked with the villagers, planting crops and tending to the land. She took him to the river to fish, not with nets or hooks, but with her bare hands, showing him a deep connection with nature that he had never known. At first, Adebayo was frustrated. He was used to commanding the best. But Amina was teaching him that life was not about power or wealth. It was about the connection between people and the earth, between the community and the spirits of their ancestors. Over time, Adebayo began to change. He listened more, spoke less, and began to understand the quiet strength that Amina possessed. He learned to respect the land and the traditions that had been passed down through the generations. And in the process, he started to see that true power was not in controlling others, but in humility and understanding. Finally, the day came when Adebayo had to make his decision. He had learned more about himself than he had ever expected, but he was still the king, and he had his pride to consider. Amina, however, was a woman of integrity, and she knew what she wanted. "You have won my respect, King Adebayo," she said, her voice calm and steady. "But I will not marry you because of a bet or because of your power. I will marry the man who understands me, who respects me, and who shares my values." Adebayo, for the first time in his life, was speechless. He had won the bet, but in doing so, he had lost the very thing he had sought to control, Amina's heart. And so the king returned to his palace, not with a queen, but with a deeper understanding of what it meant to be truly powerful. Amina remained in her village, continuing her work and living a life rich in wisdom, love, and respect for the earth. From that day forward, the people of Embu spoke of the king who was humbled by the woman who had everything that he could never buy: wisdom, strength, and a heart full of integrity.